Hey y'all, welcome. If you're in a group, if you're joining us with a team of people, or if you're watching on your own, super excited about Blueprint. I still have the proof version. The final cut hasn't quite made it in yet, but it's the same book, and so I'm excited about running through it. I did, just to let you know, I made the book in a way that is for non-readers. When I first started this journey back in 2020, I was trying to read and I couldn't do it. I had to read the same paragraph like 10 times, and it took a while for me to develop the ability to read a page and concentrate. So it's, short chapters, short paragraphs, big font for all the people that are trying to become better at reading. And then obviously this video series that we're making to go along with each section will be for your spouse or you, whoever is the non-reader that you're around, that instead of getting stress and anxiety about reading, you can just watch the video. And we're going to cover basically a lot of the same material. Also, in the way that the book is laid out, everything in it is meant to be simple, designed to be strategic, and is in the process of being a slow progress. This is not overnight. It's not drive-through, express lane type content. These are things that are meant to essentially help you long-term. This is not a short-term plan. It's very long-term. So just so you'll have the idea that nothing in here is going to begin radically changing your life today or tomorrow. It's going to take some time. I think I'm in year 5 at this point, still going. And so just to give you a little layout at the front of the book, the introduction talks about how in 2020 I went to a men's retreat, not really wanting to go, but ended up there, and then just had this radical life-changing moment that began a restoration process for me. And ultimately through that, it created this opportunity for God to lay on my heart to begin reading. And so that's kind of how this book came about. That started, I think it was in the fall of 2020. I'm somewhere close to 200 books since then, which is an insane amount for me. I think I had read prior to that maybe 10 books total just on my own, not counting school. Also, this is meant to be a supplement to your walk with Christ. In the preface, you'll read through that in here that this is not a standalone. This is a supplement to your walk with Christ, that you're beginning to become more like Christ, reflect Christ more. These are things that will be an asset for you that will work well with your walk with Christ. If you try to just do these on their own, without a relationship with Christ, without reading the Word, they may help you a little bit, but it'll be a short-term gain, and you generally won't be able to sustain it. And so, also in the book, leading up to the first chapter, there is an intro section to awareness and mindfulness, which is chapters 1 and 2. And the reason there's an intro is because I've read a lot of books about the two topics, and they use the terms interchangeably. Mindfulness and awareness are very closely related. And so what I did was I wanted to say, hey, for the purpose of this book, I want you to know the angle, the context from which I'm coming from. This is what I mean when I say awareness, and this is what I mean when I say mindfulness. And that's what the intro is about, and it's a couple of pages. And so to get into that section, there was a quote that I put at the top of that intro section that I want to read because when I read it, it's been about a year ago. It's a book from Ryan Holiday, who's a great author, and it's from the book he wrote, Ego is the Enemy. And this was a game changer for me. It basically summed up a lot of what I was going through and dealing with and experiencing at that time. And here's the quote: "In the end, the only way you can appreciate your progress is to stand on the edge of the hole you dug for yourself. Look down inside it and smile fondly at the bloody claw prints that marked your journey up the walls." end quote. And that essentially epitomized the journey that I've been on. I dug my own hole. From lack of knowledge, lack of wisdom, and had to claw my way out of the hole I dug for myself. And so that was a powerful piece that I wanted to include. So to get into the awareness and mindfulness description, I'll use awareness in this book as an overall big picture description. It is the who do I want to be? Who am I? Who do I want to become? How do I get there? Versus mindfulness being a in the moment, day to day. You're in a conversation. You're walking into a room. You catch yourself in a moment, and you activate yourself to gain control. So awareness is a big rock plan of who am I? Who do I want to be? And mindfulness is day-to-day, situationally, in the moment, recognizing, oh, I'm caught up in that thing I do. This is happening again. And we're going to dive into that. So that's just a short explanation of how I'm using awareness and mindfulness. Just know that there are multiple books out there that use them interchangeably. So don't get confused by the way I'm writing about it. That's how I was able to differentiate and make them settle for me and work. So, section 1, awareness. The quote at the top of this one says from Rick Rubin. If you don't know who Rick Rubin is, he's a very famous, incredible music producer from Run DMC, Red Hot Chili Peppers, AC/DC. He's all over the map. He's an incredible music producer. From his book, The Creative Act, failure is the information you need to get where you're going. And that stuck out to me because I always looked at failure as a negative thing, and it can feel that way, and it does. But it can help you become the person and define the purpose that God has for us. So let's get started. Right there on the first part of awareness, it talks about what type of person am I now? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? How did I get here? What contributed? These are big life questions. And awareness means being introspective of yourself and curious about the person you are right now and determining what type of person you want to become. These are things that I never really considered, never really thought about until I got into counseling. And my therapist was gently and slowly, most of the time, pushing me towards, hey, who are you? How did you get here? What contributed to that? So it forced me to look at myself, my history, how I was raised, who my parents were, and then what do I want to be? Who do I want to be in a year from now? Say, who do I want to be in 3 to 5 years? What am I doing to help put those things into action and be successful in that? So take some time, ask yourself that question. Then, are the people you're around that you spend the most time with helping you become that person that you want to be? So once you've asked yourself some of those questions, look at your surroundings. What are you feeding yourself? Who are the people you're around the most? So awareness is like really important guardrails in our life that helps keep us on track of who we want to be, who we are now, how we got here. They're very important. Towards the end of that section, it talks about take a few minutes and just contemplate, who am I? How did I get here? Who am I now? Who do I want to become? Am I setting myself up to be successful at becoming who I want to be in the future? Very important. It talks about the DISC assessment. That's a quick entry level. If you've never taken a personality assessment, I encourage you to take it. In the book, it talks about you can go to step2assessments.com, and there's a place there where you can not only take the DISC assessment, you can take a spiritual gift assessment. I would encourage you to do both. We use those at our church. They're very helpful to get you started, to get you pointed in the right direction of where you want to go in life and who you are now. Contemplate the big questions. I can tell you that personally it took me months, if not even a year, to really sort through as a then 46-year-old man. A lot of time had passed. It took me a while to dig down below the layers, and God led me on a journey of discovering some things in my life that I didn't even know were there. I discovered that I had a lot of selfish tendencies, even borderline narcissistic tendencies, never intentionally, but they just kind of came out sometimes. I had a brilliant, creative mentality of making a lot of things about me when they weren't. So it can take a while. Just know it is a process. I can tell you that once I got into the flow of that and got in the process of thinking about, hey, is this in alignment with who I want to be? And then removing that from my life. Or, hey, this is somebody I need to add into my life because they can really help me become a better me. That became a huge thing in my life. And so I would encourage you, set a 6-month marker. I'm not a big goal-driven person. I'm more of the process-oriented, and we're going to get into that later. But use a 6-month marker and say, I'm going to evaluate the people I'm around. I'm going to evaluate the things I watch, how much time I spend on social media. I automatically did this because I'm scrolling on my phone. But these things will help prevent you from getting lost in an egotistical and negative traps. This is very, very important. And the last thing I want to talk about on this section is an exercise my counselor talked to me about, and it was getting in a quiet place with no distractions and closing your eyes and imagining yourself sitting on a park bench in a very nice weather, nice trees, nice grass. The sky is blue, clear, the sun's out. Imagine the you right now sitting on the bench. And after a few moments, the 5-year from now you walks up to you and whispers something in your ear. And try to imagine what the 5-year from now version of yourself would say to you. There is no right or wrong answer, but what would that 5-year from now you say to the current you? Who could you be? What could you become? Is what you're doing now and the people you're around now helping you become that? Ask yourself these big questions. I think they're very beneficial. So I hope this helped you. You can email me, ampsims74@gmail.com. Hope you got something from this. I know I did, and we'll see you at the next one.